I'm fucked up, I'm black and blue, I'm built for all the abuse.
Ryan was sitting waiting for her mafia husband. It was midnight. Past few days, he was stressing out and coming home late. She knew this would happen as he's the mafia leader. Every responsibility was on him. Nobody knew about their marriage except some of his close friends and his bodyguards. While she was in her thoughts when she heard the horn sound, she knew Jungkook's hair. She stood up and walked in the kitchen to pour him a cup of water. The locked door got unlocked and Jungkook entered with his messy hair, looking tired like hell. His eyes felt heavy due to tiredness. He looked at Wine, who was in the kitchen pouring him water, and smiled a little in his rough state. He walked towards her slowly, throwing his jacket on the sofa, and entered the kitchen while she was pouring water. He gently hugged her waist from behind and pulled her into him more. As she was pouring him water, he sniffed her hair like it was giving peace to his soul. Wine, go get freshen up, Jungkook. I'll set the table. JK, stay a few more minutes like this. I wanted to recharge myself. Wine let him do but didn't say anything. Jungkook could sense something off. He knew she would be upset at him. Jungkook, upset? Hmm? Still his head was on her shoulder, sniffing her neck. Wine still didn't see anything. He turned her around and lifted her up to meet her sit on the counter. Before she could say anything, after a long minute, he joined their foreheads. JK, I know nowadays I'm not giving you much time, but I promise once I'm done with everything, I'm not leaving you for any second. He brushed their nose tips. Wine softened. Listening to him, he carried her to their bedroom. He was so much tired that he slept quickly. The next morning, it was 8 a.m. when Jungkook's phone buzzed. He opened his eyes slowly, groaning. Wine was sleeping in his arms peacefully. He picked up the phone, and the next thing made his eyes wider. His enemy's man ran away, who was much important for this mission. Jungkook looked at Wine. He kissed her forehead and took out his hand, which was under her waist. He quickly got up and went to freshen up. After some hours, the sunlight coming from the window made Wine's eyes slightly open. She slowly caught up and looked around. Jungkook's space was already empty. It means he already left early. Wine sighed and went to freshen up. The whole day she roamed in the house with boredom. She tried calling Jungkook, but he wasn't picking up. She tried to go out to meet her family too, but the guards said it was an order from the boss that she can't leave the house no matter what. Wayne was getting more frustrated with the time going. It's past midnight. He wasn't even home yet, nor he was answering her calls. She angrily went to the room and locked it. The whole night she was awake waiting for him, but he didn't came. She tried calling his friends. The only reply she got from them was, "He is busy right now." It's been 3 days he wasn't home. She was both worried and angry at Janko. She knew this was coming, but she wasn't prepared for this whole situation. Loneliness was eating her up. There was not a single news from Jungkook. She didn't eat anything the whole day. Suddenly, she heard the car horn. She knew it is Jungkook. She got up and angrily went to the living room where Jungkook entered with his friends and cards. His state was rough, more hard this time. His eyes were a little red. Top three buttons of his dress suit was open. She walked towards him and stood in front of him furiously. Even though she was a mafia wife, she still was a girl with normal hormones. He eyed his guards to go outside. He took out his tuxedo jacket and threw it on the sofa. One, where were you? Why weren't you home yesterday? Her voice shows complete anger. Jungkook closed his eyes and then opened it. Jkff, you know my work, Wine, he said, trying to maintain his calm posture. Wine, what do you mean your work? You could have told me, but you didn't even try to pick my call. And you didn't even let me leave the home. Who do you think I am? A prisoner? Jkff whined. I have already more things to do. I'm already exhausted. He said, removing his watch from his wrist. Jkff, pack your stuff. You're leaving with Jimin today in 15 minutes. Wine. Why? I can't do this anymore. You've been gone for 2 days, and every time you came back, it's the same excuses and the same lies. And now you're saying I'm living with Jimin. These are not lies. You know I can't tell you about my work. It's dangerous. With frustration, Wine said. Wine, I am tired of living in the dark, Jungkook. I'm tired of not knowing where you are. If you're safe or if you're even coming back. He ran a hand in his hair in frustration. Jkff, I am trying to protect you, Wine. The less you know, the safer you are, he said, trying to maintain calmness in his rough voice. Wine, protect me? Is that what you call protection? Leaving me alone for a day with no explanation? Jungkook sighed, his tone pleading with desperation in his voice. Okay, I am sorry, but you have to trust me. Trust me that I'm doing what I have to do to keep you safe, Wine. Tears welled up in Wine's eyes. She shakes her head. She held his collar, angrily fisted in her hands. Wine, I don't think I can do this anymore. Marrying you was the worst mistake she said while shouting. Jungkook sneaked his arm around her waist, held it tightly, and pulled her more closer to him. This was a limitless frustration. Jungkook, stop right there. Don't you dare to complete this sentence, June Wine. He said in his raspy voice, which did give chills to Wine, but she didn't show that. Wine, what will you do? You know what? I hate you. Jimin came inside. He coughed to gain their attention. Wine turned her face toward Jimin. Jimin, we need to leave right now. Jungkook was only looking at Wine the whole time, like he's going to lose her anytime. He closed his eyes tightly and snipped her hair. When her head was turned towards Jimin, Jungkook, you need to keep yourself safe no matter what. he said, whispering in his raspy voice. Wine looked at him with her angry eyes, and she pushed him back and came out from his grip. Jungkook closes his eyes tightly. He knew this wasn't the time. Wine, yeah, I too don't want to live with him, and I too need my stuff, she said, angrily getting out of the house. Jungkook, Mary will bring her stuff. You know what to do, Jimin. Jungkook looked at Jimin. Jimin nodded, and Jungkook blinked his eyes to signal him to take her out. When Jimin was out of sight, Jungkook sighed and fell on the sofa. He put his head on the back of the sofa. He closed his eyes tightly. Jungkook, this was the best for us. I can't keep you in danger with me. I am sorry. I don't know if I'll come back alive or not, but you need to be safe. He murmured some words in his mouth. Wine Puff. I don't know where is Jimin taking me. My frustration, anger was all up. He sent me away from him because I was coming between his work. I know. Wine, I want to go my home. I don't want to go anywhere else. Jimin, June won't like it. He needs your safety first. Wine, I want to go home. They'll keep me safe more than your June, Wine said with frustration. Jimin, I know you're angry on him, but trust me, no one can love you more than him. Wine, so-called love. You'll take his side because you're his friend. Jimin, you'll know that in future. The whole ride, Wine remains silent. After 20 minutes, they reached a penthouse. Guards opened the gate after they saw Jimin. They went inside. Wine didn't came here before with Jungkook, but Jimin stopped the car in front of the big gate. Wine, where are we? She said after getting down from the car and looking at the big penthouse. Hundreds of guards were around the house. Jimin, let's go inside, he said, going inside. Wine went behind him. Jimin entered the passage and the gate was opened. Wine saw that this penthouse had much more security than any other houses. Jimin, Magda is here. If you want to eat anything, tell her. She'll make it for you. Wine didn't notice. She just went to look around the house. The whole day she tried everything not to remember Jungkook. She made a great bond with Magda, the caretaker of this house. Later in the midnight, she was in her bed, laid and recalling everything that had happened today. Her face became wet due to her silent tears. She remembered how he told her to keep herself safe, how she said to Jungkook that marrying him was a mistake. She was turning and tossing around to sleep, but nothing was working. Then the sudden question arises in her mind. Why? Why she is here? Why Jungkook sent her away? Why Jungkook didn't come with her? Sudden pool of questions made her mind explode. She got up and went down quickly. She didn't see anyone in the living room. She tried to go outside, but the door wasn't opening. It was locked. She heard footsteps behind her. She looked around and saw Jimin. Wine, Jimin. Jimin was coming towards her. Wine, why Jungkook sent me away? Where he is? Jimin said in his low voice. It is good for you to be here. When? What do you mean? Is he in danger? She said, trying to understand the situation. When? Wait. He sent me away because there was something dangerous going on. I want to go to him, she said, getting panicked. She walked towards Jim and furiously and asked him again and again to take her to him. Before she could say anything, she felt a pinch on her neck like a needle was injected on her neck, and a black color started to appear in front of her eyes. Slowly, she started losing her balance. Before she could fall down, Jimin caught her. He looked in front of her. Taehyung, who was standing in front of Jimin, who just injected drug in her body. Taehyung, this was best for us. Gunshots could be heard from everywhere. The air was tight. Jungkook was leading his gang member. His enemy just attacked him. Their plan was failed because of the betrayer between them who told them about their warehouse and plan. Jungkook was already boiling in anger. He signaled his men to spread out and attack them from their back. He was also going to their front. Suddenly was heard and Jungkook's yelp could be heard. His arms started to. One eye snapped open. Her breath was abnormal. She was panting heavily. Her throat was dry. She was only murmuring Jungkook's name. She looked around and saw her in her room. She remembered what happened last night. She had great pain in her head. Everything started to recall. She got down from the bed and ran outside. She saw Jimin and Taehyung outside, one ran to them. She was already shaking with her loud voice. She asked, "Where is Jungkook?" Jimin and Taehyung both looked at her. Why? Jimin, just take me to him, please. Taehyung, why? It's not safe. We're already trying to connect them, but they're not picking up. They both knew Wine will not listen to them no matter what. Wine, I don't care. I want to go to him, she said while shouting. Her state was messy. Suddenly, Jimin's phone rang. He picked up quickly. Both Wine and Taehyung looked at him curiously, but Jimin's mouth was stilled, like what he heard was a bomb for him. The call was cut. Wine, who was that? How is Jungkook? Jimin, someone in the gang betrayed us and Jungkook was shot. He's still trapped inside the building. Wait, what? We need to go. I can't leave him alone, she said while panicking. Taehyung, we need to leave quickly, he shouted in anger. Ryan, I'm coming with you too. They both didn't stop her. They both knew she wouldn't anyway stop. They got inside the car. Jimin started the car and drove furiously. They covered 20 minutes distance within 5 minutes. Their car stopped in front of the mansion building. One quickly got down from the car before she could run ahead. Suddenly, Jimin caught her wrist and pulled her towards him back. The loud blast was echoed that shook the building, leaving chase and smoke in the air. As Wine's scream pierced in the air, the world seems to freeze in that moment. Wine's heart clenched. She watched the building in horror. Her legs gave out, and she found the floor, leaving from Jimin's grip, who was also in shock looking at the building. Wine's body trembling with fear and grief. Tears were falling down from her eyes continuously. Her face was wet, full of tears, and eyes were blurry. Everything around her went quiet. She was losing her senses. In her blurry vision and through the haze of smoke, she saw a figure emerging through the smoke. She rubbed her eyes to see the person clearly. She couldn't believe Jungkook was coming out of the smoke. Yeah, it was Jungkook. Wine thought she was seeing a dream, but that wasn't a dream. She got up from the ground with her heavy heart and ran towards him without looking anywhere else, in shock. Jungkook looked at her, who was running towards him. He was surprised to see her here. She stopped in front of him. In the heat of moment, disbelief and relief, her hand rose and she slapped him hard on his cheek turning to the side. His guard member gang were seeing their boss, the mafia leader, whom every person feared, standing in front of his wife, who was just slapped by his wife. But before anyone could react, he pulled her closer, his arms wrapping around her. The next moment, feeling her trembling form in his arms, Jungkook held her close and tightly, his heart aching seeing her state. With gentle hands, he wiped her tears and soothing her in a soft voice. Jungkook, shh, I am here, safe. Stop crying, he murmured his soft word in her ears. Jungkook, I'm sorry you had to worry. I'm not going anywhere, I promise. With her trembling voice, she replied, when I thought I lost you at that time. She looked at him with her blurry eyes. Jungkook kissed her both eyes softly, making her calm down gently. She looked at his face on his cheek. There was a print of her fingers. She dipped toes and cupped his face. She kissed on his cheek, when I love you. Jungkook was melting under her touch. Everyone around them, seeing these two lovebirds, were showing each other how much they both meant to each other.